It's been over a decade since I last worked at the video rental store in my town. It finally closed down when COVID hit. It had been limping along for years after all the blockbusters closed. It was a small, cramped shop, but it had a familiar and cozy feel to it. Every day I'd see the same customers come in and browse through our limited section of DVDs and Blu-rays. But there was one customer in particular who stood out. He'd always come in right before we closed, usually around 11 p.m. He was tall with a pale complexion and dark hair, and he always wore a long, black coat that reached down to his ankles. He had a strange stillness about him, and his eyes were always hidden behind dark sunglasses, even at night. I always remembered he would come in with these stringy and frayed earbuds in. He would be dead to the world, just focused on the next movie he would check out. At first, I didn't think much of him. He'd check out a few DVDs and leave, never speaking a word. But then I started to notice something odd about the movies he was renting. They were all horror films, but not the kind that you would normally expect. He would always manage to find these obscure films that I had never heard of. Some of them were even banned in several countries for their graphic violence and disturbing content. I started looking into the films that he would check out once I started noticing the banned films. They had barcodes and all of the data in our system, but I never remember seeing them on the shelves. I tried to brush it off, thinking it was just a coincidence, but as the nights went on, the films he rented became increasingly disturbing. He started to check out snuff films, cannibal Holocaust style movies, and eventually he was checking out films that weren't even popping up on Google when I searched them. One night I decided to check some of those films just to see what was on them. I was disturbed beyond belief to find out that they were homemade footage of what looked to be real life depictions of murders and torture. At least I hoped they were fake. They had titles like The Smile of Innocence, which was a video of an old man in a dirty diaper chained to a radiator in a dirt floor basement crying for 35 minutes. The Enchanted Forest, which is just a video of a guy walking through the woods for an hour before coming across a house, and the video stopped. Whispers in the Dark, which showed a video of a static shot of a room where a woman was beaten repeatedly over the course of a 40-minute window. I am sure there were more, but I'm going to be honest with you. I've spent the better part of a decade trying to forget what I saw on those DVDs. One night I was closing up the shop when I heard a strange noise coming from the back room. I had already locked the door, so I should have been the only one there. I cautiously approached and peered inside to find the mysterious customer at the counter, putting DVDs on our shelves to be checked out. I watched in horror as he placed these labels and movie covers onto the DVD cases. He had been adding them to a collection while no one was in the store. How he got in, I will never know. I tried to confront him, but he simply turned to me with a smirk and said, "Don't worry, these movies will bring the customers flocking back." He started laughing to himself as he continued to label the films. I immediately called the police, but by the time they arrived, the man was gone, leaving behind the disturbing DVDs on our shelves. I never saw him again after that night. How I only worked at the video store a few weeks after that before I quit. It's been years since that night, and I still can't shake the feeling that he's still out there, watching me or something. The strange thing is, I work at a library now. I work at a circulation desk, and when I was checking in the books and DVDs the other day, I saw that someone had returned a DVD copy of Whispers in the Dark. The cover was faded but legible, and it still had a library barcode. I scanned it in and immediately went to my boss to give them my 2-week notice. I feel like I am being targeted. I can't go through this again.